Welcome back to Yerushalmi Terumot. Cheers, the schus for Klal Yisrael. We are up to Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Is that right? We're going to go back to the Gemara just after Rishon Halacha Hay. So the Halacha Hay was talking about taking truma oil for olives which are ground. You can't do that. You can't take truma wine for grapes which have been pressed. And if you did, you have to go and take truma again. Then we said how the first time truma would be make a taruvas and you'd be chai b'chomesh, etc. But then we had cases where it was allowed wine for grapes which are ready to be made into raisins, to eat them as they are, and so on. So we're up to here. Taman Taninan. So we learned in the last part of the Mishnah, Ein Tamin U'Davar Shalik Mamalachta, Adavar Shalayim Mamalachta. Don't take truma with something not complete for something not complete. And if you did, it's valid. We don't say you have to take truma again. But in the first part of our Mishnah, it says, if you take truma from oil for olives which are ground and wine for grapes which are ground, we say you have to take truma again. So what's the difference? Why in the Reisha, it's like taking truma from something complete for something not complete, and why you have to take truma again? So Rabbi Yochanan, they said the Reisha of the Mishnah is talking about the Gezerah of Bnei Geda and Mei Chatas. That because water of the Ephah Parah, we want it not to be unused. So we're talking about a case in the Reisha where the first truma got lost. And the Chacham said, we want you to take truma again because we want people to use the Meichatas, right? We don't want the Meichatas Torahs to be forgotten. And that's why, then on the second, if you take truma wrongly, if the first truma got lost, go and take truma again. So a Kohen will receive the truma, he'll have to purify himself again. The Sefer is talking about where the first truma is still around. In that situation, there was no gezerah to go and take truma again, so that the meichadas shouldn't be not used. Because anyway, the Kohen has to purify himself because of the truma which is there, which was taken first. Now, we've also learned, if you're mafresh truma from olives for oil, it's not valid. And one of the reasons is the Gezerah from Gezel HaShevet. So now, when you take truma oil for olives, right? Oil for olives, which are ground, it is truma, and you have to go and take truma again. So that's the Geda Meichatas. So these two takanas. So you've got Gezel HaShevet and you've got Meichatas. So Milchama, which takana is more severe? Is it Gezel HaShevet? Gezel HaShevet, remember, was the thing of bother. If you take truma olives for oil, then the Kohen has to take all those olives and pop them and make his own oil. So you're giving him all that extra bother. So Mir Chamel, Gezel HaShevet, the fact that you're stealing from the Kohen by this, giving him this extra work, and Kohenim don't like work, I can tell you. I get a Meichatas. Or maybe it's because of Meichatas that is to do with this Gezerah, as we've just said, of not having the Meichatas out of use. We want it to be used. Right? Which one is more chomer? Let's see. So they say here, some say the question is, which gezerah is more chomer? The Gezel HaShevet or Meichatas? If the gezerah that truma is not chal at all, is that more severe? Or maybe since at the end of the day, you're only doing one truma, not two, maybe that's a leniency. And that the truma, the fact that you have to go and take truma again, maybe that makes it more severe. You're separating two lots of truma, right? If let's say you got a chance to be geyser for the two reasons, which is the more serious gezerah, which is more chamor. So let's see. Nishmeina bin Hada. We're going to learn the truma from a brisa. If you took truma zeisim al zeisim, olives for olives, will asin a kosher. So you took from olives which are ready for pounding, for other olives which are ready for pounding. So each one is not complete. None of them are complete because you've got more work to do on each of them. Or anavim al anavim will asin a darchon. Grapes for grapes, but both of them are going to be pressed into wine, so they're both not complete. Truma. If, however, the truma got lost, yasav yitrum, go and take truma again. Hariyeshkan gezel hashevet v'geder meichatos. So in this situation, there's two problems. One, that the Kohen still has to work the olives to make oil, and also it's the case where meichatos you have to take truma again. So in this situation, the Gezerah Gezel HaShevet, the Kohen's losing, he's not getting oil, and also the truma got lost, there's Gezerah Meichatos. But Tani Allah on the Bryce it said Truma, the Yasavi Truma, go and take Truma again, because this is the Gezerah because of Mechatos. The Bryce refers to the Gezerah of go take Truma again, Mechatos. Like the idea of Mechatos. Hadar Amra, this tells me Geda Mechatos Chama Megezel Hashevet. The idea that we want the Mechatos to be used is more severe than the idea of you not giving the Kohen extra work to do. Now, we did bring Rabbi Yossi Brisa that you're separating olives for oil. If you went and did, according to Beis Hillel, it doesn't work. Now, does Rabbi Yossi agree to our Mishnah if you separate oil for olives? Do you have to take Truma twice? Does Rabbi Yossi agree with that point? Ma Amar Rabbi Yossi Hacha. What does he say in our Mishnah of separating Truma from oil for olives? Does he agree to the Chumrah that because of the Mechatos, you have to, if you did it, you have to go, and if it got lost, you have to go and take Truma again? So let's see, what does Rabbi Yossi say in our Mishnah? We'll try and compare it to Rameh. Now this is a typical Yerushalmi question here, which again, you'll say, well, only Yerushalmi could say this. So look at this. So we're asking, is Rabbi Yossi strict in a certain case? So the Yerushalmi says like this, we've got a Kavah Chomer, right? Let's see what the Kavah Chomer is. Ma'in Rameh de Meikol v'gezel hashevet. If Rameh is lenient with hafrosha olives on oil, and according to him is valid truma, right? Olives for oil, although there's extra work involved for the Kohen, and yet Rameh is strict. He's strict with the idea that if you take oil for olives and it got lost, go and take truma again. So the gezel hashevet chumrah he's not bothered about. The mechatas one he is bothered about. That's Rameh. So Rabbi Yossi, therefore, demachmir begezel hashevet, who's more strict with the gezel hashevet one, and he agrees that the truma is not valid. Like Hashkein demachmir begezel mechatos, how much more so he'll be strict with the mechatos. You see this Kavah Chomer. So if Rameh is lenient in A and he's strict in B, so Rabbi Yossi, who is strict in A, will definitely be strict in B. Now, I mean, you could say, well, Rameh's got his views based on various reasons, or Rabbi Yossi's got his views based on various reasons. But anyway, that's what the Yerushalmi says. The Gemara pushes this away and brings a brayso that we've learned clearly Rabbi Yossi does not hold of the Mechatos Gezeros. At the end of the day, he holds of A, but he doesn't hold of B. We've learned Rabbi Yossi, don't take truma olives for oil. Or grapes for wine. But in time, if you did, truma, it's valid. First Rameh, but you don't have to take truma again, Divir Rameh. And as far as oil from olives and wine for grapes, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Beis Shammai Omrim Tomid. Beis Shammai saying, go ahead. Now we'll see exactly what is he referring to, right? Now Beis Hillel Omrim Ein Tomid. Beis Hillel say you shouldn't do it. Right, we're talking now about this is olives for oil. Right, don't do it. If you did, it's valid. You have to test again. Right, oil for olives. Rabbi Yossi says, Beis Shammai say. No, so now we're changing it around, right? Oil for olives. Rabbi Yossi Omer Beis Shammai Omer Tomin. You can go ahead. Beis Hillel Omer Tomin. You can't. I call Moedim. Everyone agrees. Shem Torah. If you did that, oil for olives, you don't have to take truma again, even if the first one got lost. So you see, Rabbi Yossi is not worried about mechatos. Right? And he doesn't hold of the din of our Mishnah. Now, exactly what is the raya from this price in the view of Rabbi Yossi? And it agrees to the Deus Hari Rayan. Now, there are opposite views, basically. So Rameh Meikol Begezel HaShevet. He's more lenient with the idea of the bother of the Kohen. And yet, Machmir Begeder Mechatas. And he's strict as far as the Paraduma waters and so on, and saying, take Truma again. And Rabbi Yossi is Machmir Begezel HaShevet or Meikol Begeder Mechatas. So they hold complete opposites. That's what we see over here, right? As to which gezerah they hold of, Rameh and Rabbi Yossi are complete opposites. I wanted to stress this brayso here. The wording, Rabbi Yossi is going on a different case to what it starts talking about olives for oil. But when Rabbi Yossi speaks, he's not talking about olives for oil. He's talking about oil for olives. So that's the thing here. All right. Taban Tanina. We have learnt. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Shisha Dvarim, Mekula Beis Shammai, Rechum Beis Hillel. 6 things are lenient Beis Shammai and strict in Beis Hillel. Remember, Masechet Zedius is full of cases where Beis Shammai are are lenient, right? The exception to the rule where Beis Shammai are lenient. So there are 6 cases. Rabbi Yossi says there are 6 cases of Mechumra Beis Hillel. Okay, I mean there are many arguments, but as far as these 6, which Rabbi Yossi mentions, the Chachamim didn't agree that Beis Shammai lenient to Beis Hillel are strict, right? So we're going to bring the first 2, which Rabbi Yossi mentions, which belong to our subject. Let's see first of all. You can take a chicken, whatever it is, a bird, and put it on the table with cheese. Remember, oif and chalav is only drabanan, because meat is menatayra with the milk, right? But chicken is only drabanan. Put it on the table, and each person's eating wherever they're eating. It can't be eaten with it. They still say no. Even though it's only drabanan, we're worried you might eat it. So don't put it on the table with the thing. Have a separate placemat and everything. But definitely you can't eat them together. That was the first argument. Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel. So Beis Shammai were more lenient, Beis Hillel was stricter. Now the second one, which is what's relevant to us. Tomin Zeisim ala Shemen. You see here clearly, Rabbi is saying this way round. You can take truma of Zeisim, olives for oil and grapes for wine. Another Malayan Kedivre Beis Shammai. Beis Hillel over in Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel say you can't. Now, Rabbi Yossi is saying, going to Beis Hillel, you can't take truma olives for oil. Now he's not adding if you did it is not valid. He takes on like Beis Hillel, but the evidence it is valid, right? So it's olives for oil, and that b'di evidence is valid. Now Amrabana less can. Now this is the thing. Take out that wording olives for oil, zeisim al shemen. Take that out. Ella, what should the wording be? Ella shemen al zeisim, which is what we quoted before. It's oil for olives. The argument Beis Shammai Beis Hillel is truma from oil for olives, and Beis Hillel say, look, don't do it, but the evidence is valid. Beis Shammai say it's no problem. The Hida Rabbi Yossi, that is this Mishnah which Rabbi Yossi learnt, and according to our Girsa, that the question is truma of olives for oil. You can't say that. You can't say it's olives for oil. It's more likely to be oil for olives, right? Because olives for oil is difficult. Rabbi Yossi said, according to Beis Hillel, it's not valid. Ein trumasi truma. So Rabbi Yossi, we know, when he said Beis Hillel say it works, it was not a case of olives for oil, but oil for olives. Okay? Right. Now, we said
the other way around, you have a problem that
what?
If it's
oil for olives
if it's
is
olives
better.
For oil, then the oil might not be b'ayin.
What? Olives for oil is less bother.
Because also you have it in front of you.
What?
You have oil already from the olives. You're taking
No. I'm separating olives to give for my oil. And I'm giving the olives to the Cohen. And that's a lot of bother for him. He doesn't want the olives.
He wants the oil.
He wants the oil. So that's the whole idea of bittul, and do we put gezerah and say you have to take truma again? But we're saying b'di'eved, according to Beis Hillel, then, according to Rabbi Yossi's version, oil for olives is okay. You don't have to take truma again. And that's what Rabbi Yossi said. So that's why we changed the girsa to fit in with that. That's the way around it is. Because otherwise, Beis Hillel will say it doesn't work. Now, we said in the first part of the Mishnah, you shouldn't take oil for olives which are ground. But if you did, truma is valid. But you have to be a truma. So in our Mishnah, we brought an opinion that says you have to take truma again. Now, the chiyuv to take truma again is b'she'ein harishona kayemes, when the first one is not in existence. Remember I said, if the first one gets lost, that's when you have to take truma again. Right? Chachamim required you to take a second truma, so the mei chatas shouldn't be batel. And the gezerah is in a situation where the first truma is no longer around. If the first truma is still around, karela shame, you give it a name of truma again, but die, and that's enough. You don't have to separate it again. Tani, we learned in the price. So now, if you take a truma the second time, because we tell you go and take it a second time, well, the Kohen can't eat it. Actually, Yossi allowed truma or masros. You still have to separate. Now, truma here means trumas maser and masros. Minat Torah is not truma, right? It's only a rabbinical second time truma. Minat Torah is not truma. So you have to separate masros from it. You have to separate trumas maser from it. Now, Rishona Mai, what's the din of that first truma? So if the first truma is still around, and then you finish being mighty, the oil and the wine, I mean, what do? So he says, we learned in a brayta, if you separate truma from olives and grapes, which are there for pressing, for olives and grapes, which are there for pressing, so basically both of them are not complete. And then your first olives, you made them into oil, and the first grapes, yain, into wine. So basically you've brought out oil and wine from all the olives and grapes you had. If the first truma is around, kore shem, yes, you can still give it a name, call it truma, as we said before, ve'ein sarech litrom shnei, you don't have to take truma a second time. So that's what we said all along, that this first truma you take, we tell you to take truma again. But if it's still around the first truma, you don't have to. You give it a name again, truma, and then you don't have to take it a second time. Adar Amra, this tells me, what you do see here, although the first truma you separated it, and it wasn't so good, but look, you've still got it, you can use that, but give it a name. Give it a name of truma. You don't have to take truma a second time, but you need to be kore shem. You have to give it a name. So this is, let's say, olives, which are ground, on olives which are ground, so the same thing here. Okay. So as we said, once you've taken the truma gedola, the peres, the leftovers, all tevel for other maestros, trumas meiser. Usually truma gedola is mutar b'achila for the Kohen without any other maestros being taken. But here we were saying with this second truma, when you're taking a second truma, it's not truma in our Torah. So it's also to be eating until you separate the other maestros and trumas meiser, as we said. It's not chayav truma gedola because it was potted from the first truma gedola you took, but it does need all the other bits and pieces. You can take oil for the olives which are ready to be eaten, the yain alanovim smoking, and wine for the grapes which you want to make them into raisins, and they're also more or less ready. Now this seems to go against another din in the end of the Mishnah. Well, it seems they're almost ready. Tanina de Basra, the last part of the Mishnah, it says, do not take truma for something complete. It's something not complete. And if you did, it's valid. So you see, b'diavad, it's valid, the truma's chal. But ideally, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't take truma for something which is not complete. And yet, here it says, go ahead. You can go ahead and take truma. The grapes you're using to make raisins are not complete yet. You still need to dry them. You need to put them on the roof to dry them, right? And even so, the Mishnah says you're allowed to go ahead and take truma with wine for the grapes that you intend to make into raisins. So in Tema, you could tell me, Shani here maybe you're going to say, look, the ratio is different. Why? Grapes which are going to make into raisins are like complete. He says that can't be. Because our tanina, we've learned in the Mishnah Maestros, have pereds, which are sort of dry stalks of a pomegranate, vatzimukin and raisins, vacharuvin and the carobs. All these, the gemar malacha, when are they complete for Maestros? Mishiyamid arema, which is you would dry them out. At the end of the drying, you would make them into some sort of pile or something, and that's the gemar malacha for them. So it's after the whole drying process. So even after the grapes are ready for raisins, they're not yet complete until you make an arema. I don't know if they give a translation for that, for the arema. There's some sort of, you make a whole bit out of them. Arema is like a trough usually. You put them arema, I don't know, is it a mixture? What does it say there, Iva? No? Shiamid arema. So basically what we're saying is even after they're made ready for raisins, they're not yet complete until you actually make this arema or whatever it is. So that's the case, right? So therefore, definitely these grapes, they're not even fit for raisins yet. So they're not complete. So how can you tell me go ahead? Rabbi Yossi ben Yosef ben Yisrael ben Lazar, he says, there's no problem to take truma with davar shling mamlachta, davar shalening mamlachta, and a begoin b'yekim bavad. He says the last part of the Mishnah, that you can't take truma before gemar malacha, that's only with grain where it gets complete in the goren, in the storehouse area. And the grapes and the olives which are going to be complete in the yakev, which are the area in the press where they make the wine and the oil. He says these grapes, you're going to make raisins out of them. They're not going into the wine press, you see. Therefore, there's no issur for them. Therefore, you can take truma for them l'chatchila, even though they're not complete. So he's saying the problem is only when they're going into the wine press, then they're going to be complete. But these are never going to get to the wine press. You're going to make raisins out of them. So therefore, it's okay. Misha time shemen. Someone who took shemen, oil for olives which are ready to eat, and then you change your mind and you think, actually, these olives, they are ready to eat, but I'm going to make oil out of them. Therefore, they're now not complete. But when you took truma, they were complete. That's okay. You don't have to take truma again. Now, you're allowed to take truma, oil, for olives which are ready for eating. They're both complete. Now, when you're taking truma from oil for olives which are ready for eating, lefi mahu torim, how do you work out the share of truma? Do you do it lefi shamnon, based on the oil? You've got this text? Yeah? Lefi shamnon. Is it according to the oil, according to the volume, and maybe the viscosity, perhaps? But it's more according to the volume of the oil, where you can bring out from the olives, or according to the volume of the olives themselves. You hear the question? How do you work out how much truma? Is it based on the oil, which you can get out of the olives, or according to the olives themselves? Which one is more? He says perhaps if the oil is maybe half the volume of the olives, and if you've got 100 saw of olives and you separate from the oil, you have to separate only for 50 saw of oil. Maybe 1 saw of oil. Okay. Okay. So let's see. We can answer the question from something. I've read it from a brisa which Chilfai learned. And the answer is that the Maisa, there's an argument tonight. We learned in a brisa, Rebbe said the shiv truma lefi shamnan is based on the oil of the olives. He says the shiv truma is lefi eichlan, according to the olives themselves. Avalai garinen. You don't separate truma for the pips and so on inside the olives, because they're not considered as food. And everyone agrees with these type of bad olives, bad quality olives. Shehein tobin lefi eichlan. You take truma based on the way you eat it, but not on their pips and so on. So after the Gemara brought machlokes how we work out the olives which are there for eating as far as truma, what about is the same argument with Isrei Shabbos as well? So as far as carrying on Shabbos, but after eating Shabbos came, do we say the same thing with the Issa Balacha Hitzah, where it's an argument, Rebbe and Shimon Gamliel? How do we look at olives which are there for eating? Do we treat it like oil or like food? You know, olives which are there to be eating like oil, is the Shir Hatzah a revius, like other drinks? Or maybe it's like food and therefore it's a grogros. Ashkaf Tani, we found a brisa which says, Rebbe Omer, revius. The Shir of carrying is a revius, like drinks. Shimon Gamliel says grogros, like foods. So the din of Shabbos and din of Truma is the same. Each one goes according to his opinion. Are the olives ready for eating? Have we got din of food or din of drink? We've also learned we've got a support from our Mishnah, so that which Rav Osha learned in the Brisa. It says in the Brisa, Zeisim al Zeisim, you take Truma olives for olives and you're going to grind them, you're going to pulp them, so they're both not complete. Or Anavim al Anavim, grapes for grapes, and you're going to press them both. So they're both not complete. Truma, but, Yas of Yitrim, go and take Truma again. Tanina, we learned in our Mishnah, Mishatam Shemen al Zeisim Lachila, if it's oil for olives which are complete, or Zeisim al Zeisim Lachila, olives for olives which are complete, or Yain al Anavim Lachila, wine for grapes which are complete, Anavim al Anavim, or grapes which are complete for other grapes, al Anavim Lachila, which are ready for complete. So each of them are complete for complete. When Nimlach L'Darcham, now you decide, oh, actually I will press them into wine. But at the time when you took the truma, they were both complete. You don't have to take truma again, because at the time when you took truma, they were both there ready for eating, and you did right. Now, what do we see? It's because you decided to change your mind, therefore you don't have to take truma again. Had you not changed your mind, but if that was your kavanah from the beginning, that you're going to actually carry on working on it, and that it's not really complete, then I'm afraid truma v'yasav yitrim, you have to take truma again. Yeah. So if it's something complete for complete, that's fine. But if it's complete for something not complete, truma and go and take truma again. Okay. So from the beginning you thought, well, these second grapes, I'm going to make wine out of them. Then yes, you've taken truma, but you have to take truma again. Okay. Good. You cannot take truma for something not complete, for something which is complete. And not something from... Right?
Okay.
Let's say, so you shouldn't take truma from something which is not complete, basically for something which is complete, and not something not complete for something which is not complete. And then one tells you the source that you should always take from complete. Rav Imi, got it? B'shem ben Lakish. It says with the Trumas Maser, V'nechshav lachem terumaschem, kadagal min hagoren. And the pasuk says, V'cham le'am min hayakev. We're telling the Leviim, they have to separate Trumas Maser from that which is complete in the goren, and from the grapes and the olives which are complete in the Yaakov. We're telling them to take Trumas Maser from that which is complete. Hada Amra, this tells me, also bitten lo shibalim. You can't give Truma Gedola when it's still in the stalks. You have to separate it after the miruach, after it's been stacked up. If the Levi went and took his maser while the 12 was still in Shibalim, before the Chiyuv Maestros came along, and he took his maser, also loichal mimenu, he's not allowed to eat from it, even a temporary eating, until he separates Trumas maser from it. And even though usually, before Gemar Malacha, it's not tevel, right? You can eat it achilas arai, a sort of temporary eating without taking maser. But here it's different. The Shem maser is called on the Shibalim, and that calls it a status of tevel. Umatam, what's the source for this din? Right, so profaning them. This pasuk is in the end of the Parsha Maser Rishon, which you give to the Leviim, which the Leviim take, and the pasuk says the maser they take from Klal Yisrael, they shouldn't profane it to eat it betivloi in a status of tebel before they separate Trumas maser from it. So the Gemara learns here that all that it's got a chal shem maser is included in Kodshei Bnei Yisrael, even before the Gemar Malacha. Omar sheyilku al tivloi dvar Torah. Do you get lashes on eating this sort of tebel? So this is maser rishon which you separated before the Gemar Malacha, and Trumas maser has not yet been separated. Is there lashes? Is this pasuk telling me a proper drosha, or is it just a smachta? Rav Ashin v'shem Rav Yonah Asnisa Amra, the Mishnah we learned, she'ein laikin al tivloi dvar Torah. You do not get lashes on that. The Tanina Tamon, we've learned Trumas maser shabbat b'kurim b'shnei drachim. It's similar to b'kurim in two ways. Really truma b'shnei drachim, and in two ways it's similar to truma. Niteles min atahar al atameh. Now, this is something here. Trumas maser, you can separate it from tahar for tameh produce. The shalom and amukaf, or if you're not nearby at the time, that's the din in Trumas maser. And in those ways, it's like bikurim. Well, it's seres agoren, and it would forbid, let's say the maser rishon in the hands of the Levi, you can't eat maser rishon from it until you separate Trumas maser. But yesh lo shiur, and it also has an exact amount, right? And in those ways, in these two dinim, Trumas maser is like truma, right? He says here, truma gedola asas the goren. So when it's complete, it's called goren. You can't eat it even temporary till you separate truma gedola. And truma gedola has got a shear midrabanan. Okay, I mean bikurim has also got a little shear drabanan, but as far as truma gedola, we find an asmachta from it. Okay, as opposed to bikurim. So what have we got here? So Trumas maser is equal to bikurim in two ways, and truma in two ways, and it's niteles tire from tameh. Okay. And Shlom and Amokov, and that is like Bikurim. And then, in what way is it like Truma? We said Oseres is Agoren. Yes, it would forbid, you can't eat from the maser rishon until it's separated. And there is a shiur. Although Trumas maser is 1/10 of a tenth, right? And Truma is 1 in 40, 1 in 50, 1 in 60. But there we are. So in that way, it's like Truma. Islach Meima. Now you have to say the Lashon Trumas maser Oseres is Agoren. When does it asa the goren? It must be it must be after the stacking has been done. The Mishnah is telling you it asas the maisa when you've not separated the Trumas maser after the Peres maisa has reached that stage of goren. That's basically the Gemar Malacha. Hada Amra, now that's when it asas it. But beforehand, it doesn't asa it from the Torah. Hada Amra, She'ain liking al tivloid v'atera. You want to say no. Eating it before that stage, there may be malchus malchus, but there's no malchus on that until later on in the stage. So he says here, the Bikurim Mishnah there is talking about the din Torah. It says Trumas Maser asas the Maser, providing the Maser has reached a stage of Goren. So before the Gemar Malacha, there's no Isim min Torah to eat the Maser. And that's a right that you would not get lashes on the Tevel min Torah. And he says here the Bavli is brought that Maser Rishon Shekdim B'Shivalim, you can't eat it before the Hafrosha of Trumas Maser. The Bavli doesn't discuss whether you get lashes on the Tevel Torah. The Rambam paskins, if you eat from it, there's makas mardus, which is a rabbinical lashes, okay? And the Maripodim says the Yerushalmi here, which concludes you don't get lashes on the Tevel Dvar Torah. That is the source for the din of the Rambam, right? So there's not going to be lashes from the Torah. There might be rabbinical lashes, which could be worse after all. But at the end of the day, there's no lashes from the Torah. Right, Perek Sheni. Now, we've spoken about cases where truma from one type on fruits of another type. So we're going to discuss that. Ein tovim min haTorah la tameh. You should not separate truma ideally from Torah peiros for tameh peiros. But if you did, in Talmud, trumas on truma, that b'diavad is valid. The Emes Amro, they said, an eagle shall devela. Now, by the way, actually this din, tameh for Torah, you mustn't do it. It sounds like it's from the Torah. The Rambam seems to take on its issa from the Torah. The Rash and the Rosh take on its only Rabbanon. It's only a smachta. And that you shouldn't do it. We're worried. Why are we worried? We shouldn't take Truma Tahar for Tameh. Why are we worried? Because when you take Truma, remember Truma has to be min hamukav. It has to be next to you. And when you put all this fruit next to you, you will contaminate the Tahar Truma. With the Tameh Truma, we're worried they'll touch. That's the reason behind it. Right? Because it has to be min hamukav. It has to be next to you. Right? Therefore, the Gezerah, don't do it because we're worried that the things will touch. The Mishnah is mashma like the Rambam, that the Issa is from the Torah. The Mishnah gives exceptions and it talks about Allah Moshe with Sinai. So the Issa is from the Torah. The Rosh and the Rosh hold the Issa is only Rabbanan. Okay. So then when it says Allah Moshe with Sinai, it means the Takana of the Chachamim as if it was accepted from Sinai. Alright, let's see. Ein Tovim min haTorah la tameh. Im Talmud Trumas and Truma. There is some eagle shall devela. This is some sort of fig cake, which is made up of dried, stuck pieces. Shenitma mixasa, if part of it becomes tummy. Some of the things. But the others are not. Torah min haTorah sheyeshba, you can take truma from the Torah parts of this circle cake. Ala tameh sheyeshba, on the other tummy parts. Right? And similarly, aguda shel yerek. You've got a bunch of vegetables, which are tied in a string or something like that, which are tameh, some of them. V'chein arema, you've got a trough of grain or fruit, and part of it is tameh. In these three cases, maybe all the fruit is in one container, whatever. Some are tameh and some are tahor. You're allowed lechatchila to separate truma from the tahor ones for the tameh ones. Hayu shnei igulin, if there were two cakes of this stuff, shtei agudas, so two bunches, shtei aremas, two troughs of this produce or fruit, achas tahora v'achas tamea, two separate entities, lo yishrim zelzeh, don't take truma one for the other. In these cases, since they're not together in one thing with the tahor ones, they're separate, then you shouldn't be separating truma the tahor for the tummy. Rabbi Elazar, he says, he says, no, you can't. Now, what about tameh for tahor? Ain't tameh min tameh ala tahor. Well, definitely you should not take truma tameh for tahor, right? There's no use. In tahor, I mean, if you did b'sheigeg, at the time when you separate, you didn't know it was tameh. Truma say truma. The truma is valid. At least so the tahor ones are now corrected. And if you did it b'mezid, if you knew what you were doing, then you've done nothing. You have to do it again. And similarly, Ben Levi, now, Shahaylo Maser Tevel, he's got Maser Rishon, which he's not separated Trumas Maser from it yet. And it's Tameh. So he's got this Maser Rishon, which he needs to separate Trumas Maser from it. I am Mafish Allah V'Hailech. Now, He's separating Trumas Maser from this fruit, which is Tameh, for other fruit of Maser Rishon, which is Tahor. So again, he didn't know it was Tameh. So he's taking bit by bit to be Trumas Maser for other Maser that he has. And B'Shogeg, if he did it by mistake, so when he separated the Trumas Maser, he had no idea that this fruit was Tameh. Masha Asar, so what he's done, and his B'diavad is valid. And wherever he's corrected, any other Maser, he's taken Trumas Maser now for the other Maser that he has. However, B'Mezid, if he did it intentionally, Lo Asar Klum, he's done nothing, he has to go and separate Trumas Maser like the proper din. Okay, so what are we saying here? Yeah, Medin Torah, there's no difference between Tameh and Tahor, Mezid or Shogeg. Every case, B'diavad should be okay, but the Chacham put a fine if you do it b'mezid, right? And they said you have to do it again for the Tahor fruit. Okay? The Bavli in Yuvamas is machlokes what it means, Layasav lo klum. One, some say, Lo tikno shirayim. So the Tahor stuff, you've not corrected, and you can't eat it until you have to separate again. But the pairs that you separated for Truma have a name Truma, and only mutter for the Kohanim. That he's given it a name of Truma on this Trumas Maser that he separated, even though it was Tameh. Yeah. Some say only Kohanim. But within Torah, it's chal on the fruit, Kedushas Truma, even though he did it wrongly. And that Kedusha will not go away. But Chista learns, the Froshas Truma is Botla Legabra. You've done nothing. You've not corrected the other stuff, and this remains the Maser that he has.
But you separate the Tameh fruit, you separate the Tameh Truma.
He's separating Trumas Maser from this Maser for the sake of other Maser. But it's all Tameh.
But I'm saying, if you separate it, you still go to the Kohen, and the Kohen can sell it, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't eat it, you can sell
it.
it.
But he can't eat it. Well, what can he do with it?
You can sell it, perhaps.
Trumas Maser? No.
Can't he sell it?
No. No, he can't sell Trumas Maser. So what can he do with it? He can use it as fuel, maybe. Basically, the fruit is Tameh, goes back to being Tevel. Basically, he can start again. Some say he can start again. And this is Maser, which is Tameh, which he can be mafresh for it. Maser, which is Tameh, he can use Maser, which is Tameh, but he can't use it as Trumas Maser for something else when it's Tameh. Okay, how are we doing? Rabbi Yehuda said, if he knew the fruit that he separated for Trumas Maser, mitzchila, from the beginning that it was Tameh, and after that he forgot, and then he separated Trumas Maser for other fruit, look, he's done a mistake now when he did it, but he forgot, then I'm afraid, well, he should have remembered. That's closer to Mazid. If he knew once and forgot, then it's his fault. We say it's nothing, and you should have been careful not to forget. If you are toveling Tameh vessels on Shabbos to purify them, if you do it b'shogeg by mistake, you didn't know you can use them that day. But Mazid, if you did intentionally, lo yishtamesh, you can't use it till Motzi Shabbos. If you're taking mice of your fruit, when it cooks on Shabbos, shogeg, if you did it shogeg, you can eat what's been made or whatever or cooked on that day. Mazid, if you did it intentionally, lo yochel, you cannot eat it on Shabbos. You're allowed to eat it on Motzi Shabbos. Hanotea b'Shabbos, by the way, there'll be problems of kelim, of bishul, of blias as well in those vessels, and there's all, you'll know they're all bi'alacha and chinul ches. Hanotea b'Shabbos, if you plant something on Shabbos, shogeg by mistake, you can keep what's there. Mezid, Yaakov, you have to uproot it. Of a shvius, if you plant during the Shemitah, ye bein shogeg, bein mezid. Whether it's shogeg or mezid, Yaakov, you should uproot it. Okay? I think we will stop here, Rabbi Sai. Please come again.